Hey guys, this is Steven from Steven's Classic Garage, and I want to talk a little bit about the status update on the 1965 Mustang restoration. So as you see here, I did indeed shoot a different color, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and my thoughts on the process and kind of why I decided to do this and what I'm going to do in the future. So what I ended up shooting is I came up with the idea of I didn't really like how the lacquer buffed, and it laid down similar to this, which I'll show you guys in a second, but I just didn't like the durability of the exterior coat of the lacquer. It had it didn't have very much chemical resistance, it didn't have very much scratch resistance, it wasn't all that hard, and it didn't really buff that great. So what I decided to do, and of course obviously it's not a stock color for the 65 Mustang, and in I guess retrospect, this is not really a restoration, this is just kind of like a rebuild like they would do back in the day, basically, to get it back on the road and kind of have similar to stock hardware on it as far as motor, transmission, interior, exterior, colors, trim, stuff like that, tires, etc. So basically what I did is I ended up wanting to shoot omni, and I couldn't really decide on the color, so I went with the with kind of the I guess you could say the safe choice, which is the actual stock vintage burgundy for 1965, as you can see there, 1965 at X burgundy, and it's MBX metallic mica. So this is a half pint, and you reduce it 1-to-1 with this regular Advantage. This is Advantage Zero VOC reducer. This is medium speed, and then you shoot it on the panel. It's very simple. You use a measuring cup, go 1-to-1, and kind of this is a sample color you can see here. Let me see if I can get the flake kind of to pop out. You can't really see it. I'll show you guys on the panel. So, but as you can see, I didn't end up finishing it. Now here is basically what I'm going to say. So I was way more careful this time on how I laid it out than I laid it out the first time. So there's a lot less junk in the paint. There's a few hairs here because I should have shaved. So that's I'll come up with a video to give you guys some pointers on doing a garage job, especially in an uncovered garage. This is how I shot it, and how to get the best yield possible, because I think I can get a little bit better than this, but that's probably about as good as I'll be able to get. So I prepped it with 400 grit. Now looking at it, there's still scratches in it. I would go 500, 600, or something like 800, just like on the lacquer. I would go something really light. There's really not a lot of fill. So let me go ahead and get the light and show you guys the finish. This has got a lot of silver flake in it, but it's more of like a dark maroon. But yeah, you can see the flake in it. I mean, it's a really nice color. As you can see, I mean, it'll really lighten up in the sunlight, but it's extremely dark and with no direct light. So if I turn off this front light here, you can see, I mean, it almost looks black. I mean, obviously it's still reflecting light, so it doesn't look like completely black, but in the dark it's going to look near black. I mean, obviously I could drop the lights all the way and yeah, see, it basically looks black. But most cars in the dark look black anyways. So what are my thoughts on shooting omni? So I didn't end up clearing it for a couple reasons. Number one, actually I forgot to grab it. I'll have to go inside and grab it. But basically the problem is that this stuff is extremely translucent. So it just does not have very good coverage. And you can see here, I actually ran out of paint, and there's that little witness line going across. And that's where I ran out of paint on my fourth coat using the entire can. So this entire half pint is gone. So 1-to-1, I shot a full pint. I shot a full pint on it, and still was not getting all that much coverage. But as you can see, I mean, I had a few bare metal spots, which I mean is not the biggest deal, but I didn't think it was going to be a problem covering, because the lacquer covered a whole bunch of bare metal spots. And the bare metal spots are because I block sanded this guy one more time just to make sure that I didn't have any dents, which it block sanded perfectly. So I mean, this would have been a done panel if this color would have worked. I mean, this color works, but the paint is just, it does not have very much coverage. It's extremely translucent. I could still see, I'm thinking that I'm still seeing the black come through. And the only place I don't think I see the black coming through, because I went extremely heavy here, is at the front. And so like this is kind of how it's supposed to look, and actually this is very it's got about the same amount of orange peel on. But see here, see, you can still see the bare metal spots right through it. So it's translucent. So whatever you put, because it's so thin, it's like shooting water. It's so thin, it's translucent, you can see whatever's underneath it. While this, I feel like, has way more solids in it than this. You barely get any solids in there for that. It's super reduced to begin with inside the can, and then you reduce it even more. So that's pretty gnarly that it's that reduced when you shoot it. It's like, you know, like water almost when you shoot it. So it's extremely translucent, so watch what you have underneath. Black is probably a good idea to have underneath. I mean, chances are you're not going to find red primer, or you have to dye, or you have to basically pigment it in order to shoot it. So what are my options now after explaining shooting with Omni? And I've shot Omni on the dash. You know, it's perfectly fine, but I'm shooting, you know, black onto black, right? So there's no problem with that. So that's one of the things. Shooting black over black, easy coverage. I'm sure I still had rust. I'm sure I still had bare metal spots, but it still covered way better with the black. I don't know. I didn't record it, so I don't know exactly. I can't tell you exactly what happened, but you're gonna have to use massive numbers of coats even to cover it. And I still don't think even then you'll be able to cover the bare metal spots because it's so translucent. So you're gonna have to buy some sealer, which I was using this 5424 a 5-star extreme paint, which I really do like. It's really good. It's really good primer. It just, you know, it's perfect for blocking, but obviously I had some low spots with the bare metal, and I need something that I could spray right on top to be just really thin, low build primer, extremely low pigment, extremely low build, and high pigment, so I could just lay it on top and it lays pretty flat, and then I block it within a few seconds, because the problem is that the primer went on so lumpy that by the time I block sanded it, it went all the way back down to bare metal and some of the low spots. And obviously I don't want to hit the low spots in and fill it with Bondo. That's not what I want to do. So also I bought so that can is about $26 for that can for a quart. And the quart didn't even go to the whole, so I have to buy that $26, and then I have to pay like $13 for that reducer. And that reducer is about half gone, so that reducer will do maybe a half gallon. Will reduce maybe a half gallon, I think it's, what is it, a quart? 1 quart, so let's shoot a half gallon. So basically you have to buy that guy, 16 bucks, 26 bucks, 52 bucks, plus the 16, so that's about 68 bucks for a half gallon. But you could think of it as so about $7 for the reducer, and then 26 for that, so it's about $35, right? Or $33. So 33, 35 plus tax, 35 with tax, 35 with tax to shoot less than one side. Right? Not even full coverage of a side. I think that if that was good there, you'd be able to shoot one side. But obviously that's 1 quart spray. That's 1 quart sprayable. I would do 3 coats. This was my 4th coat. You'll probably be able to do the whole side on 1 quart sprayable. Now, so to do this whole panel, it'll cost me that 50, so 40 plus that's 52. So $52 plus the like $13. So that's $65. $65 to shoot this, not including clear. While with this, I could shoot 2 panels with these 2 for that same price. Shoot this guy and maybe the hood. Obviously the hood's way bigger, but I could shoot 2 trunks for that same thing. So I'm gonna go over the 11¼ minutes here and add on a little bit more commentary here. So the next thing that I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna explain, and I'll break this into 2 videos. In the next video I'll explain what I'm gonna do to fix this problem. This is kind of my findings so far, and I don't have enough time, but maybe I'll show you if I have a few seconds. The metal coming through. There it is.